Some rail days feel big when you look at the map. Today feels big when you look out the window. We're leaving Kumamoto behind, jumping back onto the Kyushu Shinkansen, and in less than an hour we'll be standing in Kagoshima, staring across the bay at an active volcano. This isn't just another bullet train hop. It's the moment the past turns into a ticket from castles and gardens to steam, lava, and open water. After one full base day in Kumamoto, we're back in familiar territory, rolling our bags the short walk from our station-side hotel straight into Kumamoto Station. Yesterday the Japan Rail Pass stayed mostly in the background. Today, it's back at center. From here, the plan is simple but ambitious. Hop on the Kyushu Shinkansen and ride it all the way down to Kagoshima Chuo, the southern end of Japan's high-speed network. On the map it looks like half of Kyushu. On the timetable it's less than an hour. Inside the station, we head for the Shinkansen level and look for a Sakura service. On this stretch of the Kyushu Shinkansen, you'll see three main names: Mizuho, Sakura, and Tsubaime. For JR pass holders, Sakura and Tsubaime are the sweet spot, fully covered by the pass, with plenty of departures in both directions. Depending on which train you catch, Kumamoto to Kagoshima Chuo is roughly 45 minutes to 60 minutes, about 42 minutes on the fastest Mizuho. Around or up to 57 minutes on most Sakura and Tsubaime services. Either way, you're trading less than an hour in a Shinkansen seat for an entirely new city and a volcano on the horizon. At the Shinkansen gates, the routine is now second nature. Show the JR pass or use your reserved seat ticket, pass through and head up to the platform. This is one of those days where the math is easy to feel even if you don't run the numbers. On regular tickets, this leg alone is several thousand yen per person. On the pass, it's just day 6. 8 car and 700 sets glide in, doors open, and within a couple of minutes we're back in our rolling office. Power outlets, big windows, and Kyushu countryside sliding past outside. Day 6 is where our Japan Rail Pass takes us as far south as this trip will go. We're leaving Kumamoto behind, jumping back onto the Kyushu Shinkansen, and in less than an hour we'll be standing in Kagoshima, staring across the bay at an active volcano. This isn't just another bullet train hop. It's the moment the pass turns into a ticket from castles and gardens to steam, lava, and open water. After one full base day in Kumamoto, we're back in familiar territory, rolling our bags the short walk from our station-side hotel straight into Kumamoto Station. Yesterday the Japan Rail Pass stayed mostly in the background. Today, it's back at center. From here, the plan is simple but ambitious. Hop on the Kyushu Shinkansen and ride it all the way down to Kagoshima Chuo, the southern end of Japan's high-speed network. On the map it looks like half of Kyushu. On the timetable it's less than an hour. Inside the station, we head for the Shinkansen level and look for a Sakura service. On this stretch of the Kyushu Shinkansen you'll see three main names: Mizuho, Sakura, and Tsubaime. For JR pass holders, Sakura and Tsubaime are the sweet spot, fully covered by the pass, with plenty of departures in both directions. Depending on which train you catch, Kumamoto to Kagoshima Chuo is roughly 45 minutes to 60 minutes. About 42 minutes on the fastest Mizuho. Around or up to 57 minutes on most Sakura and Tsubaime services. Either way, you're trading less than an hour in a Shinkansen seat for an entirely new city and a volcano on the horizon. At the Shinkansen gates, the routine is now second nature. Show the JR pass or use your reserved seat ticket, pass through, and head up to the platform. This is one of those days where the math is easy to feel even if you don't run the numbers. On regular tickets, this Shinkansen runs alone is several thousand yen per person. On the pass, it's just day 6. 8 Shinkansen car and 700 sets glide in, doors open, and within a couple of minutes we're back in our rolling office. Power outlets, big windows, and Kyushu countryside sliding past outside. From castles and gardens to an active volcano in under an hour. That's what this part of the JR Pass is built for. Less than an hour after leaving Kumamoto, we're already rolling into the end of the line, Kagoshima Chuo. This is the southern terminus of the Shinkansen network and, for this trip, the farthest our Japan Rail Pass is going to carry us. Step off the Shinkansen train and it feels different immediately. The light is brighter, the air feels more coastal. And even inside the Kagoshima Chuo station, you can sense that this is a transport hub for a city built around the bay. From castles and gardens to an active volcano in under an hour. That's what this part of the JR Pass is built for. Less than an hour after leaving Kumamoto, we're already rolling into the end of the line. Kagoshima Chuo. This is the southern terminus of the Shinkansen network, and, for this trip, the farthest our Japan Rail Pass is going to carry us. Step off the train and it feels different immediately. The light is brighter, the air feels more coastal. And even inside the station you can sense that this is a transport hub for a city built around the bay. We tap out through the Shinkansen gates and head down toward the main concourse. Before we even think about trams or buses, there's one thing I'm hunting for. That first glimpse of Sakurajima. As you step outside the station, you get your bearings with the Kagoshima Chuo Plaza. City trams out front, and on a clear day, a faint outline of the volcano sitting across the bay. It's not the dramatic postcard shot yet, but it's the moment you realize today's city backdrop is an active volcano.
From here, we've got options. Dive straight onto a tram, catch a bus toward the bayfront, or stash bags and slow down for a minute.
Our goal for day 6 is simple. Turn the Shinkansen arrival into a full Kagoshima day, with gardens, waterfront, and as many views of Sakurajima as we can reasonably squeeze in. If you've been wondering whether it's worth burning a full JR Pass day just to push this far south, this is where we start answering that question. Right here, outside Kagoshima Chuo, with rail behind us and the volcano waiting ahead. Before we start chasing views of Sakurajima, there's one very important logistical stop: getting rid of these bags. Kagoshima is a walking, tram-hopping, bayfront kind of city, and dragging full luggage around all day is a fast way to hate it. Our hotel is a short walk from Kagoshima Chuo, which is exactly what you want on a rail-heavy trip like this. Check-in isn't until later, but most Japan business hotels will happily store your luggage from late morning. So we're going to do what I recommend every time: drop the bags, keep a day pack, and buy ourselves a freedom upgrade for the rest of the day. Bags dropped, pockets emptied down to just cameras, tickets, and snacks. The whole energy of the day changes. Now Kagoshima isn't a city we're hauling our life through. It's a city we get to explore. With the weight off our shoulders, literally we can head back out and start working our way toward the bay, the gardens, and those proper volcano views. With the bags out of the way, it's time to actually meet Kagoshima. Step 1. Get from station and hotel zone out toward the water, because that's where the city really starts to make sense. Kagoshima is one of those places where the transport is part of the experience. You've got classic streetcars, local buses, and walkable neighborhoods all feeding you slowly toward the bay. We're going to keep it simple. Ride one leg on local transit so you can see how easy it is to move around, then switch to walking once the volcano starts to appear between the buildings. As we roll away from the station, you start to pick up the rhythm of the city. Narrow streets, palm trees, the occasional glimpse of water, and every so often, that hazy silhouette of Sakurajima getting a little clearer. This is the transition phase of the day. No big attraction yet, just that slow, satisfying slide from arrival logistics into okay, now we're really here. From here we're going to walk the last stretch. The plan is to keep the coastline on our radar, work our way toward better viewpoints, and eventually end up at one of Kagoshima's headline stops. But first, let's just enjoy that feeling you only get in a new city. Not quite knowing what's around the next corner, but knowing a volcano is waiting for you at the end of it. Once we hop off the tram, the city suddenly opens up. The streets get wider, the breeze picks up, and you can smell that mix of sea air and city life that tells you the water isn't far away. We're going to walk this stretch on purpose. You could absolutely jump straight onto another bus or head directly to a big-name site, but I always like to buy a few unscripted blocks in a new city. This is where you find the little side streets, the local cafes, and those first, imperfect views that never make the brochure, but somehow stick in your memory. And then it happens. Between two buildings, or over the top of a row of apartments, you finally get that clear shot of Sakurajima. No viewing platform, no postcard framing, just a living volcano sitting across the bay, casually looming over everyone's commute. This is the moment Kagoshima clicks into place. Every tramline, every bayfront park, Every garden we're heading to today is built around that backdrop. From here, we're going to start steering with intention. The goal is to work our way to a spot where the volcano, the bay, and the city all line up in one frame, and then push on to one of Kagoshima's headline viewpoints. But this is the first box checked. We made it as far south as the pass will take us, and the volcano is no longer an idea on the map. It's right there. Now that we've had that first between the buildings glimpse of Sakurajima, it's time to give the volcano a proper stage. We're heading down to Kagoshima's waterfront park area, where the entire city sort of steps aside and lets the bay and the volcano take over the frame. This stretch along the bay is designed for exactly what we're here to do. Slow down, sit on the wide steps, and just stare across Kinko Bay at an active volcano. On a clear day, you get an unobstructed postcard-level view of Sakurajima, with ferries sliding across the water and the city behind you instead of in front of you. For me, this is the proof of concept moment for coming all the way down here on the JR Pass. One morning Shinkansen ride from Kumamoto, one short hop across the city, and now we're eating snacks on a waterfront, watching an active volcano that doubles as the backdrop for one of Japan's most dramatic gardens. Before we head out to the garden, we're going to do the smart thing and refuel right here by the water. Kagoshima's waterfront area has a cluster of restaurants and cafes within a short walk of the park, so you don't have to go far to find lunch with a Sakurajima view. Kagoshima is famous for two big food groups: Kurabuta black pork and ultra-fresh seafood from Kinko Bay. Things like sashimi, sushi, and local specialties such as kabanago, a small silver fish often served raw or lightly fried. So for lunch we're leaning into the local thing. Think a simple seafood set, a pork cutlet, or even a casual bowl and side dishes, all while staring straight across at Sakurajima. This is one of those "this is why we came" moments. A morning on the Shinkansen, a walk along the bay, and now a proper Kagoshima lunch on the waterfront steps from one of the best volcano viewpoints in the city. Once we've cleaned our plates and grabbed a few more shots of the bay, we'll jump back into motion and work our way towards Sengan to see how a samurai family turned this same view into a masterpiece garden. From here, the next move is obvious. We're going to keep the volcano in sight and work our way towards Sengan. After spending time face-to-face with Sakurajima, we're going to see what it looks like when a samurai lord designs an entire garden around that same view. A short bus ride from central Kagoshima brings us to Sengan, the Shimadzu family's seaside villa, and one of Japan's classic borrowed scenery gardens. Before we chase that samurai garden view, there's one very unsexy Kagoshima truth we need to talk about. The bus to Sengan is only about once an hour. If you just miss it, you're not losing 5 minutes, you're losing a solid chunk of your afternoon. So we're doing what I always recommend on a JR heavy day. Pick a specific departure and build the rest of the day around it. From Kagoshima Chuo, the City View bus and local routes out to Sengan run roughly every 30 to 60 minutes depending on the line, with the standard city bus sitting closer to that once-an-hour rhythm. Instead of drifting toward the stop sometime after lunch, we're aiming for one exact bus. That way the waterfront walk, volcano views, and lunch all flow into a locked-in departure. It doesn't sound dramatic, but this one move is the difference between a relaxed garden afternoon and an hour of killing time at the bus stop, staring at a timetable instead of Sakurajima. This place was built in 1658 as a retreat for the Shimadzu clan, and instead of building artificial hills and ponds, they just used real ones. Kinko Bay becomes the pond, and Sakurajima itself is the garden hill in the background. You wander through ponds, streams, shrines, and bamboo groves, but no matter where you stand, the volcano keeps sneaking into the frame. For a rail-focused trip, Sengan is the perfect payoff. One morning on the Shinkansen, one local bus, and you're standing where feudal lords once hosted foreign royalty, looking at the exact same volcano we watched from the waterfront. We'll wander the grounds, find the best vantage points for video and photos, and then start thinking about how to time our exit so we're back in the city before the light disappears behind the bay. After a few hours inside Sengan, you almost forget there's a whole city waiting back on the other side of the bus ride. We head back towards central Kagoshima the same way we came on the local bus. About 30 minutes to 50 minutes to get from the garden area back to Kagoshima Chuo, depending on which service you catch. By the time we're rolling back into town, the light is starting to soften, which is perfect. Evening is when Kagoshima really leans into its two personalities. One side is the everyday city around Kagoshima Chuo and Tenmonkan, with its restaurants and neon, and the other is that skyline plus volcano combo you can see from hillside spots like Shirayama Observatory. We're going to keep things simple for this trip. Drop back near the station, find some local Kagoshima food, think Kurabuta pork, fresh Kinko Bay seafood, or a quick bite in one of the restaurants clustered around Kagoshima Chuo, and then grab a few final shots of Sakurajima as the sky changes color. It's the perfect way to close out a day that started with a Shinkansen ride and ended with a volcano slowly fading into the night. Day 6 started as just a short Shinkansen hop on the JR Pass and turned into one of the most dramatic days of this whole itinerary. We rode as far south as our pass would take us, dropped the bags, and spent the afternoon in a city that literally lives across the water from an active volcano. Standing on the waterfront steps and later inside Sengan, it really hit me how wild this combo is. One morning train from Kumamoto, and by lunch you're watching ferries cross Kinko Bay with Sakurajima smoldering in the background. It's the kind of day that makes the JR Pass feel less like a budget tool and more like a teleport button. For me, Kagoshima earned its place on this route. The station energy, the trams, the bayfront, the samurai garden built around real volcanic borrowed scenery. It all adds up to a destination that feels completely different from everywhere we've been so far. If you're building your own pass itinerary and wondering whether to push this far south, I hope today's episode helped answer that. Tomorrow we keep the story going. New trains, new tracks, and another way to stretch the value of the pass. But for tonight, it's Kagoshima lights, a volcano silhouette on the horizon, and the satisfaction of knowing Day 6 squeezed every yen of value out of that little green ticket. Let's talk numbers for a second, because Day 6 is one of those days where the Japan Rail Pass quietly does a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes. Right now, a one-way Shinkansen ticket from Kumamoto to Kagoshima Chuo on the Kyushu Shinkansen runs roughly about 8,000 yen for adults, depending on whether you go non-reserved or reserved in which train you pick. If you're buying that as a standalone fare in early 2026, with the yen sitting around 157 to the US dollar, you're looking at roughly $48 per person one way. And that's just the headline leg. By the time you add local buses and trams across Kagoshima, waterfront, Sengan, back into town, you can easily nudge another 1,000 to 1,500 yen onto the day in city transport, say another 7 to 10 US dollars per person at current rates. So, for a non-JR Pass traveler, a Kumamoto to Kagoshima day like this could be landing in the ballpark of 55 to 60 US dollars per person, just in trains and local transport, before you even touch food or attractions. With the JR Pass, that main Shinkansen jump is already paid for, and mentally that changes how you build your day. Instead of asking, is it worth $50 to push this far south? You're asking, how much can we get out of this day the pass already covers? Day 6 is a pretty good example of what happens when you lean into that question. Tomorrow is our last day with the Japan Rail Pass, and we've got a decision to make. From Kagoshima, we can either ride north and finish this 7-day run in Osaka, or we can push all the way back to Tokyo. If we went out of pocket, Kagoshima to Shin Osaka on the Shinkansen would run somewhere around 12,500 to 16,000 yen per person, or roughly 85 to 110 US dollars, while Kagoshima all the way to Tokyo would be closer to 25,000 yen or more, roughly in the 170 plus US dollar range. Osaka gives us a shorter ride and drops us straight into Kansai for the next phase of the trip. Tokyo turns tomorrow into a full-day rail epic, but it also means we end this 7-day pass exactly where a lot of people fly in and out. By the end of tomorrow, we'll have picked one and you'll see which final leg we thought was the best way to cash out the pass.